shit at the pilot. Niggas be broken, be sobbing, but still talking shit like they violent. Niggas is broke. This series, man, this series is an emotional roller coaster. Like, it really is. Quick recap of the series so far. Game 1, the Celtics came back from a 16-0 start to win Game 1, helped by a franchise record 19 3-pointers. Game 2 comes around, people said the Celtics couldn't do what they did in Game 1, and they didn't. But then something more extraordinary happened, and that was Isaiah Thomas dropping 53 points on the Washington Wizards as he battled John Wall, who also put up 40 points and 13 assists himself. But the Celtics prevailed, and they have a 2-0 lead going into Game 3. Game 3 was just a bar fight, and it almost was in a literal way. 3 ejections, probably 5 to 6 technical fouls. It was just brutal. The Wizards were being out-physicaled in the first 2 games, and the Wizards punched back, and they punched back hard as they went on a 22-0 run in the first quarter to blow the Celtics out and make the series 2-1. And we all just watched Game 4 yesterday, where the Celtics actually kept up with the Wizards in the first quarter, but then they let up a 24-0 run in the third quarter. And now here we are in Game 5 in Boston with the series tied 2-2. Boston hasn't lost at home yet, and Washington hasn't lost at home as well. But Washington has momentum going into this game. The question is, who wins this grudge match of a series? Now, y'all know that I am a huge Boston Celtics fan. Like, people call me a stan, and I'm just like, you know what? I am. Before this video, I will keep it as unbiased as I possibly can, so you can interpret that statement however you want to. But before we get into I think who will win, let's talk about what both teams need to do in order to win. Let's start with the Wizards. It's as simple as this. Put your foot on the gas pedal and do not let up. If the Wizards do not let up their play and they play like they did in games 3 and 4, there is no way the Celtics win this series. No way. What the Wizards did in games 3 and 4 is out-tough the Boston Celtics. And let me tell you what, it definitely worked. Because what you have is the 3rd worst rebounding team in the Boston Celtics, who have guys that can't really outrun any of your guys on the fast break. If you out-tough them, you basically win the rebounding battle by default, and by being more physical, you expend their energy. So you can go on the break and go on these unstoppable 22-24-0 runs that have been a regular occurrence in all 4 games. And we all know once you're up by 15-17 points on the Celtics, the only guy you really have to stop is Isaiah Thomas. If you stop him, who else is going to eliminate that 15-17 point deficit? You stop Isaiah, you stop the engine of the Celtics offense. And really the only guy that can facilitate for the team. And with Isaiah, as unstoppable as he can be when he's on fire, he is relatively easy to guard if you stop him early. Now, in the regular season, when the Celtics face teams like the Suns, the Nets, the Sixers, that's almost impossible. But in the playoffs, when teams have days and sets specifically designed and planned to stop you, and you combine that deeper in the playoffs, the level of talent each round increases to the point where not only will offense be tougher for you, but defense will be as well. That thing is that's just hard, man. That's just hard for Isaiah and for a team that relies so much on him. That's why I'm surprised Isaiah even dropped 53 in game 2, man. So at the end of the day, the Wizards just need to keep doing what they're doing, and they'll win this series. Now the Celtics, oh boy, the Celtics. Now this is a puzzle, and let me tell you, one thing that the Celtics do have going for them is one of the best coaches in the league that can solve a puzzle of this magnitude. I think the biggest difference between the first 2 games and the last 2 games is the effectiveness of Isaiah Thomas. And I think one good thing I did see in game 4 is the fact that Stevens rested Isaiah early to allow him to play when the Wizards bench is on, or when Wall and Beal are a little exhausted. The difference really was that third quarter where you had a fully regenerated Wizards starting lineup against the Celtics with Isaiah on the court. Now I know they kept up with the Wizards in the first quarter, but you gotta realize that the Wizards probably made adjustments at halftime to stop Isaiah from being effective. And I'm sorry, I'm not sure if it's the Wizards just getting into Isaiah's head, or if it's the Wizards just being that demoralizing, or if it still has to do with China's death, rest in peace again. But I just haven't seen that supreme confidence in Isaiah the last 2 games. it just seems as if, like, for the most part, he's just going through the motions. And what makes Isaiah such a good offensive player is the fact that he doesn't just go through the motions. The fact that he is so unpredictable. So with Isaiah, I think it's really just being at home, because this season, if you look at the stats, Isaiah Thomas is a plus 8.4 at home compared to only plus 0.4 on the road. And if you look at the eye test, he just seems more alive and more dynamic at home. And also, going back to the stats, Isaiah is better in every single statistical category at home. But that's only one piece to the puzzle. Another piece to this big ass puzzle is being more physical than the Wizards, because another difference I saw between the first 2 games and the last 2 games is that the Celtics were being the aggressors in the first 2. The last 2, the Wizards were, except for the beginning of the first quarter in game 4. So I think whoever can be the aggressor, whoever can make the other team play the way they play, will win the series. The only question is, who will? Since the Wizards do have more aggressive and more physical players and guys like Wall, Beal, Porter, I'm going to just say their whole starting lineup. But when the Celtics are at home, they do have that supreme confidence, as we saw in the first 2 games, that they feel like they can beat anyone. And y'all think this puzzle is done, right? No, it's not. This is a big ass puzzle. So we know the Wizards will game plan for Isaiah, thus eliminating the other guys from being effective. To cancel that out, these non-threats have to be threats. Because let's be honest, Avery Bradley can create his own shot. He can attack the rim by himself. He can catch and shoot. He's a member of the all-defensive first team, and he probably will be this year again. He really could be the Bradley Beal to Isaiah Thomas. But in the last 2 games, he's had 7 points and 5 points with 0 steals, compared to the first 2 games where he had 18 points and 14 points with 4 and 3 steals respectively. And obviously, Mr. $113 million man, Al Horford, definitely has to step it up, because on paper, he should be the best big on the court at all times. But there are stretches when he gets outplayed by Markieff and Gortat, and that's just unacceptable. I mean, first 2 games, Al Horford had 21 points, 9 rebounds and 10 assists, basically a triple-double, followed up by an impressive 15 points and 12 rebounds in game 2. Game 3, we got 16 points and 2 rebounds. Game 4, we got 11 points. Like, you know what, man, you can win a championship with IT as your best player, but you can't win a championship with relying on Isaiah to do everything. That's just impossible. So, keys to the series is to 1, Isaiah needs to step it up. 2, the supporting cast needs to step it up. And 3, be more physical than the other team. And honestly, now that I look back, basically what I just said is the Celtics need to play like they did in the first 2 games, and the Wizards need to play like they did in the last 2 games. The deciding factor is who is actually going to do it in 2 of the next 3 games. And to conclude, I really do feel as if the Wizards are going to do it. I just feel like the Celtics have shown that they simply can't win on the road or even be competitive for a whole 48 minutes thus far, making Game 6 an almost guaranteed win for the Wizards. And going into Game 5, the Wizards do have momentum and have the full capability of winning that game. Now, if the Celtics are to win Game 5, which is going to be extremely tough, since the pressure is on them on top of the Wizards having momentum, I do expect a Game 7. And if that happens, it's simply a toss-up. In a game of that magnitude, the team with Isaiah Thomas cannot be counted out, especially when they're at home. So I do have the Wizards most likely winning the series overall, because they have full capability of winning in 6 or 7, while the Celtics, to me, only have the chance to win in 7. But with that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I am out. Peace.